Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahushai, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahushai, Brakta Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ukakadash. Double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles who great Stone rule well, and to the arking around the four corners of the earth, preaching the gospel of Hamashiach Yahushai in truth and sincerity and diligence of mind in these last days and times. This Brahmanash DC camp, short lesson for the hopeful elect concerning the signs in the heavens. The Most High set up, these so-called heavenly bodies. Your sun, your moon, the stars, and these other planets. For a specific reason. To remind us of His greatness and the rules that is set in place, right, to keep us informed of what we need to do. All right. So, June 10, we had the solar eclipse, which is today. All right. And it's called an annular eclipse, or an annular solar eclipse, meaning you're gonna have a ring around the moon. You could see the ray of sun around the moon while you're on Earth. All right, so that's basically what you call a ring of fire. All right, so this is different from a total solar eclipse. All right, when the sun is completely blocked by the presence of the moon between the sun and the earth. All right, so if you go on you could go on the NASA website. It tells you when these eclipses take place, whether it's a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. And those solar eclipses, they always coincide with the new moon. All right, meaning a new month, the beginning of a new month. And you can always understand how the Lord set up this this creation of His. So this is for the year of 2016. All right, you can see that as the moon is getting darker and darker, okay, you see that you have a solar eclipse. All right, which is an annular solar eclipse on the new moon. That is March 9th, 2016. And about 6 to 7 months later, you should have something similar. All right, so if you look at the new moon comes in for the full moon. That's when you have a lunar eclipse. Okay, so you can see the pattern. And so that's the month of March. So if you go to the month of let's say September. All right, it's September. All right. You see that on September 1st, 2016. You also have another ring of fire, all right, and another eclipse, okay. And then you scroll, you keep moving. 14 to 15 days later, you have a lunar eclipse, all right. And then as you get about 15 days later, you have another new moon coming in. And then you could also go to this NASA website. It shows you certain what you call it, man. Yeah, this right here. You can always use this website to look at the different days and years and months when these eclipses take place. So if you scroll, you can look at the ones for the lunar eclipses. All right, you can look at the ones for the solar eclipses, and you pick for the year of 2016. is going to show you. All right. So if you pick a range for 2011 to 2020, it will show you, the pattern, for what, about 6 to 7 months intervals. So it's going to let you see exactly what you're dealing with. So you have May 20, that's 2011. You have another solar eclipse. Then November, you have total. And then you do another from November to May again. You have another annular. So when you go to 2016, March 9th, you have total. And then September 1st, 2016, you have another eclipse. So it just shows you how the Lord has set up, the dividing of time, to let us know of His greatness and His power. So I'm going to read some precepts from the book of Genesis. I'm going to start from chapter 1. All right, Genesis chapter 1. I'm going to read from verse 14. It tells you, and the Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night." So always remember, the day from the night is basically what the Elohim has set up for the earth. And let them be signs for seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. All right. And then verse 16 says, and the Elohim made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So the sun and the moon, they have their purposes, man. All right. So you can always tell, man, just like the Lord Hamashiach Yahushua mentioned that you have 24 hours in a day. All right. And then you have, your micro measurements, which is governed by the sun. All right. And then you have your macro measurements governed by the moon, which is your months. All right. The hours of the day governed by the sun. And then you have the days of the year governed by the moon. All right. And that is clear. Okay. And when you have these eclipses, it shows you that there's movement around the earth by the sun and the moon. Okay. And you'll be surprised, man, what the Lord has set up in the heavens, man. The patterns, of the sun and the moon, it's very, very very, very amazing. Okay, when you take a look at the pattern, the path of travel of these 2 bodies. All right. And then you read the book of Psalms chapter 19, and then you read from verse 4 to verse 6. It says, their line is gone through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. So it tells you that the sun has a pattern of travel, okay? So it says his going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. So that clearly tells you, man, the ancient knowledge the Lord has given us concerning the sun proves that the sun is not stationary. It has a path of travel. Okay? And then you could also go into the book of Sirach. It lets you know what else you have to look forward to when you are studying these bodies in the sky, in the heavens. Okay? So the book of Sirach, chapter 43. I'll try to close that out. Sirach chapter 43. Let's see. I go straight to the point in verse 1 gives you a better understanding. So it says, the pride of the height, the clear firmament, the beauty of heaven with his glorious shew. The sun when it appeareth, declaring at his rising, the marvelous instrument, the work of the Most High. At noon it parcheth the country. Alright, that's when the sun is at its highest point. And who can abide the burning heat thereof? Okay, so you could look at the temperature in the Middle East, when it's noon, and when it begins to come, when the sun begins to go down, you could track the temperature, and then you see how it goes. Even here in the West, man, you could see at noon when the temperature is highest, and when the sun begins to go down, you could see that the pattern that the sun is is going through, is travel. Okay, and then it says a man blowing a furnace is in the works of heat, but the sun burneth the mountains 3 times more, breathing out fiery vapors and sending forth bright beams. It dimmeth the eyes. So the rays of the sun, alright, that it beams upon the earth is strong enough to start a forest fire. Alright. And then it says, great is the Lord that made it, and at his commandments it runneth hastily. Alright, so it tells you it runneth hastily, so it's not stationary. Okay, it has a path of travel. He had made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times, and a sign of the world. Alright, so verse 7 now says that for the moon is a sign of the feasts. Right, it's a sign of feasts. Alright, the high and holy days that the Lord has set up for us, the so-called things you have to look forward to. I'm not say so-called, man. Your feasts. You have your Passovers, you have your Feast of Tabernacles, your Days of Atonement. The moon plays a major role in helping you to keep track of the special days that the Lord has set forward for us. Alright, and then it says, for the moon is the sign of feasts, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. Alright, so it tells that the moon is a light. It has its own light. Okay, and then that light, it varies, from one spectrum to the other. So it shows you that the moon is a light by itself. Okay, it doesn't depend on the sun for light, and that's the reason why you have to understand how God has set up, these heavenly bodies. Okay, and then verse 8 says, the moon is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. Alright, so the beauty of the Most High's work can be seen in the heavens, man. So you can always understand the value of the Holy Scriptures, man, when you're looking at all these astronomical calculations and records that NASA has. And NASA is not the only one that keeps track of all these, heavenly movements, man. Of the planets, the sun, the moon, and the stars. You have people that do that as a hobby. All right. You have scientists that keep their own records. All right. So you can always tell, man, how the Lord has set things up. All right. And when you read the book of, the book of Peter, it tells you how the Lord has set up 1,000 years as one day unto the Lord, and 1,000 years as one day to the Lord, and 1,000 years is as one day. Okay, so just understand, man. It's it's not it's a spiritual setup. How the Lord has set things up, man. I'm not sure if I said it right the first time. One day to the Lord is like 1,000 years to us, and 1,000 years to us is as one day. Okay, so it's beautiful, man, to see how the Lord has set up, His creation in the heavens to keep us aware of the feasts and the high and holy days that we have to be aware of, man, and also to let us know of the return of Hamashiach Yahushua in these last days and times. So that's the point there, IKM. You can always check out these websites, man. It lets you know whenever you have a solar eclipse, whether it's a total or annular, that's a new moon. And anytime you have your lunar eclipse, okay, that lets you know you have the middle of the month, okay. So that's the point there, IKM. Abarataza, we continue to grow in spirit and in truth. Shalom.